Okay. In the previous video we looked at the initial placement review, the initial action plan, and now we're going to move into the midway review of progress. So part of your initial action plan is to set when that review is going to be. So you should have negotiated with your mentor and your link lecturer as to when this is going to be. And at this point you'll go into this button here, midway review of progress. You'll hit start, but you've got further guidance here which tells you a little bit about what is expected for you to have discussed at this point. So it tells you student self-assessment that you'll need to complete. You need to think about the competencies that you need to achieve, and you need to be able to provide some reflections on your progress so far. So you hit start there. And this is important. At progression point 1, which is year 1, it tells you what we expect of you in accordance to the Benner idea of competence. Okay, so the idea is at this point you're a novice, you're new to nursing, and we're not expecting you to be all singing, all dancing nurses at this point. So the scale that we use of 1 to 5 is against a novice background, not against an expert background. So that's important to know. Okay, so if you've read that, you click that you've agreed. Again, there's a bit more guidance here. But then at this point you're expected to score yourself. And we have 5 different levels in each area that we look at. So in NMC domain 1, we would score ourselves down here. 1 is a fail. That's really important to note. So if you score yourself as a 1, you're likely to think that you're failing at that. So that's a really important point. If you're think you're working at a 5, that needs quite a lot of evidence really to show that, and for you to be able to prove that that's where you're working. So you know, you might kind of see where you think you are along there and score yourself against each one of these. Okay, so these are against all of the NMC guidance for domain 1, which is professional values. You're going to write in there about what you think, and there's a box here that's greyed out because your mentor or your practice educator is going to come in and have a look at that and see what they think, and they will also be scoring you at this point. This is in year 1 formative, which means it doesn't go towards your academic grade, and at the midway point it is really to kind of gauge where you are anyway, even in year 2. The summative or final mark for each placement is done at the end. So this is really, where are you at the midway point? So I'm not going to go through each of those, but you'll need to go through for each of the 4 domains. You'll do a revised action plan, which means that you need to be able to look at what you did in your initial action plan and see what you need to add. So again, similar goals and things that you'll need to be able to set at the midway. So you might rephrase some of the older goals that you set at the initial point, or you might set completely new ones to achieve. And then you've just got a checklist to quickly check through that you're on target at midway point for your placement. This includes things like have you looked for things like potential opportunities to provide care for the essential care needs groups, and that will be explained elsewhere. Have you completed your midway review, as we've just looked at? Have you given your mentor feedback? Do you feel that your relationship's working well? Is there anything they could do to help you better? Have you considered things like service user feedback? And have you contacted your link lecturer or met up with them? And once you've done all that, you tick completed and save. We'll go back to home. Oops, there we go. Home, here we go. Okay, So in the next video we'll look at the final assessment of practice to make sure that at that point you're all ready to close the placement that you're on.